The great resignation is here, guys, because American workers are quitting their jobs more than any other time in the past 2 decades. The great resignation didn't start within one day. It apparently started 2 decades ago, and it accelerated its all-time growth within the last 18 months, thanks to the pandemic. Instead of reading about massive layoffs and economies slowly getting back to normal, on the opposite, we see that there is a big need for workers and employers cannot attract people to return to offices. Hey guys, it's me Manchuk. Welcome to my channel. I talk a lot about jobs and careers on my channel. Basically, I'm sharing my HR tips on how to get the maximum from your job, and by maximizing the effort that you guys invest in a corporate job, you can definitely reach your professional goals. And I'm not siding with any corporations nor any anti-corporate guys. I just want people to be happy by doing their job that has a meaning and value no matter where they are. In the latest report released by the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, it was reported that in April, the resignation level increased as high as 4 million people, which signifies 2.7% of the entire US workforce. And the increased number of people who quit their jobs come from retail professionals, business services, followed by logistics sector. And employee layoffs and discharges reached new historic lows. However, Morgan Stanley CEO James Morgan said if you can go to a restaurant in New York, you can come to the office. And to emphasize his desire to return everybody to their respective offices, Mr. Gorman said he would be very disappointed if workers haven't found their way into the office by September 6th. And I'm truly sorry to be that person to reveal a secret to Mr. Gorman, but he will be very disappointed anyway when he and his fellow top executive face the reality and not embracing it with the ever-changing human nature, because people pick what is easier for them. There is a big problem why trying to return employees back to offices, and let's see why this idea will collapse anyway, and rigid managers will fill themselves with the endless feeling of disappointment with their employees. Again, you wake up in the morning, you put on your work clothes, you go to the office, you sit behind the desk or in the cubicle, or if you're lucky, you will be sitting in a designated or redesigned office space, and you work until the clock says you need to go home and get some rest. This is what life is look like for the majority of people, but that was not until the COVID came along. Then everything has changed. And I personally love to observe this continuous fight between employees and companies, because there is never a time when everyone is happy with each other. So as pandemic is coming to its end, hopefully it's summertime, at least everything is opening up and countries get vaccinated in mass, and people are struggling to find any will to go back to old days of working days, realizing that traditionally long established things were not necessarily always right. And I mean, it's not wrong either, it's just not that outspoken. And you've probably heard that how the job market is doing amazing in the United States, in particular post-pandemic time, and employment stats are getting better, aka decreasing. But anyways, companies are struggling to bring back their employees to work. Some CEOs actually directly threatening employees by warning that there will be negative consequences for such a bold behavior for those employees who will not work regularly in the office. And also CEOs are concerned about the pay based on location. So according to Morgan Stanley CEO Mr. Gorman thinks that people should be paid based on their locations. If you want to get paid New York rates, you work in New York. My only question is, as a millennial person, how about being paid for the actual work? Why the work done in New York is valued higher than the work done, for example, in Hawaii? I mean, I understand the cost of living difference and accessibility to different cultural events, to education and restaurants and so on, but this is not necessarily right. And another CEO from JP Morgan, Mr. Diamond, position on forcing employees back to office is very similar to his colleague. The office is where we teach, where our interns learn. That's how we develop people, where you build all the soft cues that go with having a successful career that isn't just about Zoom presentations. So I'm still confusing something here as an HR person. If Zoom presentations are inefficient for career success, then how would you explain the fact that the board of directors and CEOs may not attend office every day themselves and connecting through Zoom or Skype, whatever you call the technology? You receive those reports, including readings and presentations and so on, and you make your decisions. What's curious is the fact that Mr. Diamond alone has made above $1 billion to his personal fortune at the end of 2019. In the pursuit to win the competition for customers while establishing themselves as reputable brand names, most employers or companies actually forget about their workforce, and if they invested in them with the same passion as they deal with customers, help of their employees who actually make them billionaires, there wouldn't be the situation that we are in today, which is called the Great Resignation. Gladly, not all CEOs are the same, and some new school top executives are crushing the market with their new approach that grants people more freedom, and this elevates their desire to work. So some executives are so sweet you won't ever want to leave them. The benefits that are being offered, fancy offices are being redesigned to make you feel like a new home again, which was honestly needed like 15 years ago. According to the research conducted by the insurance and financial services giant Prudential, one in three American workers would not want to work for an employer that requires them to be on site full time. And the survey also indicates that a quarter of workers plan on looking for another job when the threat of pandemic decreases. And it's great news for those who are actually not opposed to the idea to build their career inside their dream companies, because the war for workforce is real and it will bring more competition to attract the labor force, the qualified labor force to the job. And that top executives who are billionaires need to share more finances with the rest of the team and to take care of employees' health and do more to satisfy people's personal lives today. For example, to let them take more time off when they need it, paying them more for their knowledge, not hours spent in front of you, and let them come to office when they feel like coming to work there. If you haven't heard about the term the Great Resignation, I'm going to explain to you what's happening. The Great Resignation is an idea proposed by Professor Anthony Klotz, who predicted that a large number of people leaving their jobs after COVID if working from home becomes the new normal. However, we must be careful that it doesn't give way to a new lifestyle that we hate even more than the office because of this normality. Because what is normal to you may be not normal to me, and vice versa. So new data from Workforce Analytics this year confirms that they have analyzed workforce data of over 9 million employee records from more than 4,000 companies, and this year found that resignation rates hit a significant spike even during the pandemic, and the trend to resign is also climbing, especially in the fields of tech and healthcare. Additionally, this year concluded that resignations are rising among frequently mid-career workers. Despite the pandemic, people of all ages experienced an increase in resignation, except those younger 25 years old. Young people need employment the most, and this is understandable. This is their first job, and fresh college grads and those who are less experienced need stable work more than the rest of the workforce. Employees aged 30 to 45 years old saw the largest increase in resignation, signaling that workers more established in their careers have continued to shift jobs. But it's not all that this year found. Manager resignation rates have increased during the pandemic too, which is nearly 12% higher compared to the last year. So while increased responsibilities and burnout likely played a major role, gender differences were also a factor, because 1 in 3 female managers were considered leaving the workforce forever because they have been disproportionately impacted by caregiving responsibilities both at home and at work throughout the pandemic. And women were not jumping from one employer to the next. Instead, they had to leave the workforce altogether to take care of their family. And the opposite pattern took place for men when men rolled their sleeves and went to the battlefield to fill their families. This whole situation is unfortunate for women who finally started to be seen somewhere on the top level, and COVID will likely kill all the slight chances of women to restore their careers and work at the same level as pre-COVID stats. And to confirm my assumption, this is the latest Glassdoor report on the best CEOs, and it's no brainer that the gender gap is gonna increase. However, women could alternatively switch to more flexible and family-friendly work opportunities, and they stand actually better chances to build their own foundation from a professional standpoint. The healthcare and high-tech industries are seeing the most resignations, and employers have less room to force employees to come back to the old system because people simply have been burnt out during the COVID. And CEOs need to understand, and HR departments should do their best to convey this idea to their top execs level that they cannot milk a cow when the cow is actually dead. Thank you guys for checking out my video. I really appreciate it. I wish you good luck in getting what you want from your professional life. Make sure you hit the beautiful like button and subscribe button. I'm posting 3 times per week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You will not miss any of my videos if you hit the notification bell. Write me comments and I will respond to them gladly. All the useful links are in the description, so click on them too. Thank you guys so much for watching and see you next time. Bye.